Hey, what's up everybody? Hope you're having an amazing day out there. I'm your host Phil, and today's video I want to take a deeper look at the MERCURIALL AmpBox 6163. Let's roll the intro clip and then get straight into it. Now you might have seen my first video which I've done on this plugin on the channel, and I was absolutely stoked by it. So I downloaded the demo version of it, which has some occasional silence, but apart from that is fully functional and also not limited in time as far as I'm aware. And I just played around, created a few presets, and then I showed it in the video. Yeah, now you could see already in that video I was beyond the moon with this plugin and was super great sounding, super versatile. I already liked the Euphoria back then, which also has a very similar layout, so that's pretty cool. And because I liked the plugin so much, I actually reached out to the fine folks at MERCURIALL and I asked if they were interested in some sort of collaboration, and happily they were so. So they gave me a free license of this plugin so I could do this full demo. It's just such a nice gesture of MERCURIALL to give me this license. And yeah, thank you at the people at MERCURIALL, and thank you for you viewers out there who made this possible, that I can approach these companies and ask for support in that manner. So that's awesome. With that out of the way, I want to do more of my typical reviews where I take everything apart, I look at everything in the plugin, try to dial in different tones, different stuff. And let's get straight into the user interface first. This is going to be a lot to unpack, so we're going to have some timestamps in the description of this video where you can skip to the actual sounds if you don't want to listen to all of this. But let's just get simply started. I got my scene over here with OBS already prepared. Let me first make some adjustments over here. And there we go. Oh, wait. There we go. Now everything is kind of clean and pristine. This is basically what you get when you open up MERCURIALL AmpBox the absolute first time. Note that I have loaded my own clean preset, so the default preset does sound different, of course, but I want to start with clean when we're getting into the tones. You got this amplifier over here, which in all of its glory is looking exactly like an EVH 5150 Stealth, and yeah, that just looks super awesome, super sleek. I love the design which they have set over here. The Euphoria also looks amazing. Yeah, moving on, let's go to the elements of the user interface before we then dive into the singular aspects. So on the left upper side, we got the module list where we can engage the gate, we can take the graphic EQ, the wah, and so on and so forth. So I already prepared everything that it looks nice and smooth like a pedal board over here. Or the same goes with the parametric EQ, which I like to have more down below over here. Chorus, the delay, and the reverb. And then we got the cabinet section, which we're going to have in its own chapter in this video. So I'm going to skip this for now and take that away. Sorry. So if you want to engage or disengage the effects, you either click here on this on off, or you click on the foot switch over here. So fairly straightforward, works quite well. Down below we got the input and the output, which by default is set to 3.3 and 5.0. I backed up the output a little bit so we're not getting into clipping territory, and I am setting up my interface so that we have zero gain. I'm using the Audient ID44, so no gain on the channel whatsoever. Over here we got the license manager where you can choose the different slots of AmpBox to be activated, or you can purchase the other modules. Over here we got some settings and then stereo mono setting. On the top we have first off the preset manager, which offers a lot of different presets which actually sound quite good. We're gonna listen to some of those. And then you got your user-based presets. I have not found that you can set up banks over here, but I personally don't need that. For me, that's absolutely fine. Then we have one UI size button over here, which we can set up. Hang on, let me push that over here so you can see it better. And that's really clever that they put this on the top bar, because a lot of plugins have this on the bottom. And if you're already out of the scope of the screen, then you're not seeing that actual menu to change the UI size. So that's quite smart that they put it up over here. Then we got media assignments, not doing anything meaty on this video. So we're gonna skip that. We got the tuner over here, which is working very good. You got some reference stuff, you know, the usual tuner stuff. And then we have this panel over here, which hides or shows all of the effects which you have engaged or which you have activated before. So that's a nice touch that you can go back to the amplifier's optics without the pedal board overlay with one simple click. And over here we got the oversampling. To avoid some crackles, I have set this to twice, so otherwise I'm getting some crackles with the latency settings which I have set up over here. Alright, now that is the user interface from a generic perspective. Going to the amplifier, the heart of the AmpBox 6163, we have 3 individual channels which have their own dedicated EQs for each channel, and also gain and volume. And on the third channel we have this small switch over here, which is either the stealth mode when you are on the S, or when you're setting it to C, that means classic mode, and that then replicates more of the classic Ivory 5150. Then we got the depth and presence, which is individual for each channel. So if I select a different channel, you can see that the presence and the depth settings are being set individually. Yeah. So if I go to the blue one and I just crank the presence and then go back to the red, you know, that always knows. That's one of the nice things of the digital world, where you can have these parameters separately, while in the real world you're bound to actually having one depth and one presence for the entire amp, if I'm not mistaken, over here. And we got this possibility of disabling and enabling the preamp or the power amplifier section. Can come in handy if you want to use a different power amplifier. Let me quickly go over here so that we have all of these pedals over here. Now, this is going to take some time. We're going to go through each and every individual pedal, so just that we have everything out of the way when it comes to user interfaces, and we then can go into knob tweaking afterwards. So, we got first the noise gate, which has a threshold, hysteresis, attack, and release. But that's quite nice and quite flexible, because you have all of the settings which you would need, and the hysteresis allows you to have a different threshold for gate opening and gate closing. The only bummer is that you don't have any dB values, so you have to do all by ear, and I hate that with a passion. All right, next on we got a 9-band graphic equalizer over here and one master boost, you know, for this. So that's quite coming in handy if you don't want a typical boost on pushing the amplifier. Then we got the wah section, which is quite strong in its capabilities. Unfortunately, I have no pedal to really showcase this, but you can set up the position of the, let's say, of the foot itself. Then you can select the range in which the, let's say, the frequency of the wah is working within. Then you can set up the Q and the boost as well, and also the velocity. So how the heel or how the position of the foot basically reacts. So do you want it to be more linear? Then you can set it up like this. If you want to have it more of a, let's say, slope upwards, then you can set it up like this. So it's super flexible. I think this is the most flexible wah which I have seen in a digital realm so far. Really cool. I like that a lot, and I just played a little bit around while playing. It does sound good. It does sound very decent. Then next up we got the overdrive section, where we can choose 3 different overdrives. The TS808, the Grid Smasher, which is I think the Grid Slammer, Mesa Grid Slammer, and then we have the Boss SD1. Boss SD1 sounds best with this amplifier in my opinion, so we're gonna leave it there. Next up we got the distortion with the Metal Area MTA. I would think this is a metal zone, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the distortion DS1. Yeah, so far so good. Then we have down below over here the parametric EQ, which is super powerful. I'm gonna put that up over here. We got 4 different bells, we got slopes, we got high pass, low pass, and all that stuff. I usually just use it to knock off a little bit and have a little bit of a roll off from 80 to 100 hertz, and nothing more. Then we got a stereo chorus, a delay, and a reverb, which are also quite versatile. Not going into all the settings over here. That's maybe something which we're gonna do later, or maybe not. Let's see how it goes. All right. I'm gonna now close all of the different things which we don't need for the sound demos. I have dialed in a few tones over here. First off, we're gonna start with a clean sound on the green channel and then work our way up to the red channel. So this is the clean channel with some reverb, some chorus, and some delay. I'm using a Fenix SM30, which has an X to N from DiMarzio in the bridge and GFS hot single coils in bridge and neck. This is what it sounds like. It doesn't sound at all because I'm stupid enough to have not engaged the stuff over here. Now we go. Yeah, that already sounds pretty good in my opinion. Very lush clean tone, which you can get out of this. As you can see, I scooped a little bit the mids. I quite boosted the highs a little bit and took the gain far, far off. So if we would go ahead and we would deactivate all of the effects, let's leave the delay on just to give a little bit more of that roomly feel. And then first off, moving to the X2N, we're getting a lot more output. And we're actually getting more into crunch territory. So I'm going to turn off the delay and I'm going to then take away a lot of the low end, boost the mids, notch back the highs. So giving it a little bit more of a balanced tone. And then we're going to see what happens. So you already get a nice crunch tone out of this already. We can further enhance this by using the parametric EQ. So I'm taking off these three guys over here. I'm going to place the parametric EQ like so. And let's take away everything below 100 hertz maybe. Maybe actually a little bit more. So let's just go with 200. Yeah, that works quite well, and you can actually go as far as getting kind of a classic heavy metal sound out there. So you kind of get the idea, like late 70s Judas Priest, somewhere around that mark. And if you boost this with an overdrive, you get an even more vicious, more heavy metal stylish tone. All right, that already sounds pretty good in my opinion. For that tight chugging, it's a little bit too loose, the low end, but you could work around with a little bit of a multi-band compressor on the low end and so on and so forth and get more out of it actually. So let's move on then to what I deem the actual heart of this amplifier, and that is the blue channel. For this, I'm gonna load up another preset which I created over here, and we're gonna go through the preset in a bit. So just gonna give you the tone after I'm gonna close all of the unnecessary stuff. So there we go. Let's push this overdrive over here. Let's smack the parametric EQ over here. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so this is the tone which I have dialed in. That's a super nice thick tone. I really dig this a lot. You have a lot of flexibility on this channel. to be honest. You can dial this back massively to get more into, let's say, the high gain but more crunchy tone. Depending on the style, that might already be enough gain for you. So I'm just going to dial this up a little bit more. But yeah, I like to boost this with the ST1 to get a little bit more of a vicious tone over here. Nice, 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 nice. And you can hear the gate is dead silent. It's doing its job great. Let's let the note ring through so we can check the sustain of the noise gate. So as you can hear, it's super quick, but it still lets the note ring. And that's the beauty of the noise gate when you have the threshold and the hysteresis being set a little bit different. So you have basically a different threshold for opening the gate compared to the threshold which is active for closing the gate back once it's opened. Yeah, okay, that out of the way. This is what it sounds like on the blue channel. Let's go over to the red channel and let me show you what then I do. So first off, here's the tone, which I have set up in the red channel. But what I find is it's still a little bit more mushier and more muddy than the blue channel, actually. So I like to go ahead and make a roll off of the lower frequencies, starting from 1K on a small slope down to the 62.5 hertz version. And this is what it sounds like. I mean, for recording, I would anyways go with vastly less gain. And that's a little bit too low of gain settings. That would be kind of around the ballpark in which I would set the gain settings. Over here, maybe take the Boss ST1 and give it a little bit more drive over here so that we get a little bit more of a fuller tone. Yeah, that would sound good. If you quad track that, that's going to sound super huge and super awesome. All right. Yeah, but we're now, I tricked myself. We're now on the classic mode. So everything which you heard on the red channel was the actual classic 5150 Ivory mode. Let's go to the stealth version. So the difference is very subtle. In my opinion, the stealth is a little bit more fatter, a little bit more rounder, more saturated. The classic has a little bit more bite to it, but I would say in a rather unpleasant way compared to the stealth. So it still sounds amazing, don't get me wrong, but I personally prefer the stealth mode. It just has more of that chug factor to it, if you kind of understand what I mean. So yeah, let's do that test again with, or let's check that sound out once again with the stealth mode engaged. Sounds awesome, awesome, awesome. For just playing for myself, I like a little bit more gain, just because I love gain. And with this tone, if you just add a delay and a reverb over here, you're gonna have quite a good lead tone. Let's check that out. If you like to, you could now boost the mids, take away some presence and treble. So you already can hear the wah, even though my absolutely shitty demo could not really demonstrate how it works. But setting up the velocity, setting up the range, the Q, you have a lot of different possibilities to kind of sculpt the wah sound exactly the way you want it and how it translates to your pedal, if you would have one. So that's really cool of them, that they kind of thought ahead of themselves in that respect. Let's disengage this over here. Yeah, so quite some good sounds which we're getting over here. Now let's go to the cabinet section, because I have to admit something. I was using all the way along an impulse response, which I created and which is downloadable in a link which I'm going to put in the description below. But what is cool about the AmpBox is that there are plenty of great, awesome sounding impulse responses already involved. So first off, they have this cool 2D effect, which I think they made in cooperation with Red Wires, where they have some different cabinets over here, which you can select the mics, you can select the mixes between the different setups, and then you can kind of sculpt your tone in a two-dimensional field. Hang on, let's go back with the settings over here. So you have this cool possibility of sculpting your own tone, and if you're not that fond of creating your own tone, you can simply go to the IR section and you can then choose between one of the amazing IRs by Max Morton from Morton Studios. I really like the 6163 special impulse responses which come from that, and especially I think the Mess Modern SM57 was one which I really liked. Let's listen to what that sounds like. Oh, let me tune my guitar quickly. All right, we're back. And now you can go just simply through all of the different impulse responses. And if you don't find the exact impulse response which you love and like so much, then of course you can just click on this over here and you can do it like I have done it and select your own impulse responses. All right. Yeah, so these are the different effects which you can set up. So I have not gone through all of the different tonal features which this plugin can offer. So I have not tried out a distortion into the clean channel and so on and so forth. But this is not something which I am good at dialing in, so I'll keep it for others. This is, for me personally, this is one trick pony kind of. So it does the 5150 thing, but it does that extremely well. And since that is my main amp for all of my needs, so I don't need anything else, basically I'm more than happy to just take this as it is, you know, like just use the amplifier as it is, just boost it, and then you're good to go, you know. So yeah, my favorite tone still remains the blue channel with a little bit more gain over here, the parametric EQ enabled, my impulse response loaded, overdrive SD1, having the gate of course, and yeah. So hang on, let's check what this sounds like. All right, let's get right into the conclusion. All right, so now that we have looked at the plugin in its full glory, what's my conclusion out of this? I just simply can repeat what I said on the first video. This is maybe the best sounding 5150 plugin there is on the market, simply because they are emulating the 5150 Stealth instead of the usual MK1, MK2, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it sounds absolutely wicked. You can do anything from clean to face melting high gain. You got all of the nice effects on board with it as well, like the chorus, the delay, the reverb. You got the different overdrive types and so on and so forth. So it's super versatile in that aspect. Of course, it's a one-trick pony because you're only getting one amplifier, but all the periphery around it, the gate, the overdrives, the delay, the chorus, and so on and so forth, make it super versatile for all of your studio needs and all of your, you know, guitar playing needs. If you are that guy who only wants one amp and that's supposed to be splendid and superb, then this is your product. Currently, the pricing is around $70 as an introductory price for, I think, the next 5 days or so. 10 days after release, it's going to ramp up to $90. Still worth the asking price, especially if you consider it against the more recent plugin releases that were out there. And also, still, if you compare it to STL Tone's Josh Middleton or something, it still lives up to those plugins because the individual amp sounds better or at least on par with that. Of course, STL Tone, Josh Middleton will forever have a place in my heart because of that amazing dual rectifier multi-watt capture which they have in there. So no talk on that. So it's a little bit more versatile in terms of amplifiers. But if you only want that specific amplifier, the 5150 sound, this is your plugin. I'm going to put a link in the description below. I'm going to put some more links with the impulse response which I used in this video, so you can download it from there as well. Super plugin. Thank you so much, Mercurial, for providing the license for this plugin. And thank you, everybody who's always watching, engaging on my videos. Let me know what you think about this plugin. Let me know if you are jaded by the lot of plugin releases which have come out recently. Yeah, I certainly am excited, but I want to hear you guys on this one. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay metal.